Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Mythology Divine Edition. Today we are going to be taking a look at Azath's unique Mythic Age god, Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep's cultists can turn into geometric mages for pure favor cost, which take 2 population and can essentially move through any solid obstacles. They're ranged myth units, and they cannot be impeded by walls, buildings, trees, anything like that. They just phase on through. The voices of Nyarlathotep can convert enemy human soldiers and even villagers. Though they're not, they are slightly better at it than monks are, but they're still not, well, they're not as good as this. If you use the incarnation god power on a voice of Nyarlathotep, it turns them into an incarnation of Nyarlathotep that converts one human soldier or unit, one human unit around once every second and a half. So if the incarnation of Nyarlathotep stays in the back, he can convert an entire enemy army if you have population space. The incarnation of Nyarlathotep cannot be healed, cannot attack, can empower any building except for a temple very efficiently, and in general is only really counterable by you having full population or by your opponent using heroes or myth units. Though he does count as hero, so myth units do reduce damage to him. The myth unit for Nyarlathotep is quite unique, in that it starts off in a wizard form that is a fairly strong ranged myth unit, can transform into a flesh form that is very tanky, does a lot of damage, but moves quite slowly, and can transform into a bird form, which is very fast, in fact having 6.9 speed, though it is quite weak. Transformations are free and can happen instantaneously. So you can send a bunch of birds across the map. Say over here, I'm assuming the enemy base is going to be there. So you can fly them right over the enemy, double click to transform them into the flesh forms, which are quite powerful and very tanky, and just go to town. This makes them very versatile myth units that, if you have good micro, can be used to fantastic effect. Because the moment especially if you're not facing Egyptian, so enemy units are less likely to be ranged, you can transform them into a bird and fly them away. The priests are a big problem for these guys, since they can oftentimes hit the birds and deal significant damage. You can retreat over here, get some wizards down. And turn them into birds and fly away again. Nyarlathotep's technologies begin with humanity, which improves myth unit damage against human soldiers. And then we have the Shining Trapahedron. Sorry, the Shining Trapaz... oh, whatever it was. I don't remember. Shining Trapahedron. It's not Trapahedron, it's Trapa with the Z something in it. There's a special type of thing, I think. Anyways, once you have all of the normal mainline upgrades, you gain access to 3 unique upgrades for your most powerful human soldiers. Breeding programs, which causes Yith Possessed to cost to be much cheaper and train much faster, and also lets them do more damage against myth units. Nightmare Riders, which make Gaunt Riders do substantially more damage to myth units with a jumping attack, and Living Bows, which make Pinkman Fledged essentially have no weaknesses. However, you can only train 1 of them. Nyarlathotep's Attainted Translator technology causes all library technologies to now only cost favor, which makes them much cheaper, similar to Forge of Olympus. And Oaths of Frailty is a ritual that, when completed by a cultist from Nyarlathotep, instantly turns every single unit in the area wild. This is kind of like an entire army killer, except it's not particularly useful for defense because it'll also kill your entire army. And one of the more unorthodox uses of this is if you have a whole bunch of resources to spare, you can send an army, put it somewhere like, say, on a gold mine, use this ritual to turn it wild, and you no longer have to worry about its population. So you can get a whole bunch of units that will attack anything that comes near it on an opponent's location, and then start training up more units in the background. You can wade an army into an opponent's base, consciously use that ritual then, turn your own army wild, turn their army wild, and start building up new units, because you had the economy to support this. All the time while your opponent's base is getting ravaged by 2 armies. This is probably the single most powerful ritual, but it is most useful in surprise attacks. This makes Nyarlathotep sort of taper off in the late game, while still being a very powerful choice for Mythic Age timings. Just make sure that your population is never quite full, because the incarnation of Nyarlathotep is entirely useless if you do not have population space to allow for the to allow for the converted units. I can't say words. I must be getting tired. It is quite late. Anyways, that's all for Nyarlathotep. Have a good one.